Dr. Alina Voss stood at the observation deck of the research vessel Void Seeker, watching the distant moon grow larger on the screen. The dead rock floating in the Kepler system looked ordinary, but the energy readings told a different story. Something ancient lay buried beneath its surface. "Mom, look at these readings," Maya called from her workstation. The 18-year-old had insisted on joining the expedition despite the dangers. Alina had tried to refuse, but Maya was as stubborn as her father had been. "The metal signatures are unlike anything in our databases." Alina walked over to her. "Daughter's console, Maya was right. The readings showed structures made from materials that shouldn't exist according to current science. This was why they had traveled so far from Earth. The ruins on this moon might hold answers about the galaxies." "Pest! Tom, bring the landing shuttle around," Alina ordered into her communicator. Tom was 20, their youngest pilot, but the most skilled. "We're going down to investigate." The landing party consisted of 5 people. Alina led the team as chief archaeologist. Maya served as their technology specialist. Tom handled the shuttle and heavy equipment. Lisa, 19, was their linguist and cultural expert. Jake, 17, was their computer systems analyst. All young, all brilliant, all eager to make history. The shuttle descended through the thin atmosphere toward coordinates that showed the strongest energy signatures. As they broke through the cloud layer, massive structures became visible. Ancient. Towers rose from the moon's surface like metallic trees. The buildings were dark and silent, but their design was elegant and complex. "These structures are at least 10,000 years old," Lisa said, studying her scanners. "Maybe older. The architectural style doesn't match any known galactic civilization." They landed near the largest building. The structure was a pyramid made of black metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with blue energy. Alina felt excitement building in her chest. This could be the discovery of a lifetime. "Stay close to the shuttle," Alina warned as they approached the pyramid. "We don't know what dangers might be here." The entrance was a tall archway that activated as they approached. Lights came on inside, revealing a corridor that stretched deep into the structure. The walls were covered with more symbols, but these were different. They looked like warnings. "I can read some of these," Lisa said, pointing at the symbols. "This language appears in several galactic databases. It's very old, but still used for important records." As they moved deeper into the pyramid, the warnings became clearer. Lisa translated them slowly, her voice growing worried with each word. "Beware the Star Wanderers," she read. "They come in ships of silver light. They seek the young and promising. They call themselves gardeners, but they are thieves of futures." "What does that mean?" Jake asked, adjusting his equipment scanner. "I'm not sure," Lisa replied. "But there's more. It mentions something called the Collectors or the Harvesters. Different species use different names." They reached the pyramid's central chamber. The room was enormous, with a ceiling that disappeared into darkness above. In the center stood a massive stone tablet covered with symbols from dozens of different languages. The tablet was surrounded by smaller stones, each telling the same story in a different alien script. "This is incredible," Alina breathed. "It's like a galactic warning system. Multiple species work together to create this message." Maya was already scanning the tablet with her equipment. "The energy source is coming from inside the stone itself. The material is generating power somehow. This technology is far beyond anything we have." As Lisa worked to translate the main tablet, the story became clear and terrifying. An ancient species traveled the galaxy, watching younger civilizations develop. When a species showed promise, especially their young members, the Watchers would come. They would take the most talented individuals and disappear, leaving the rest of their civilization to wonder what happened. "They don't destroy civilizations," Lisa explained. "They harvest their best and brightest. The tablet says they believe they're preserving the galaxy's potential. Preserving it for what? Tom asked. Before Lisa could answer, Jake's equipment began beeping rapidly. I'm detecting ships approaching the moon, he announced. Multiple vessels, unknown design, moving very fast. Elena felt cold fear grip her heart. How long until they reach us? 10 minutes, maybe less, Jake replied. Their technology is more advanced than ours. Our ship's weapons won't be much use against them. They ran back through the pyramid, but it was too late. As they emerged into the moonlight, silver ships were already descending from space. The vessels were beautiful and terrible, shaped like flowing water but made of solid metal. They moved without sound, without visible engines, defying everything. Humanity knew about space travel. The ships surrounded the Void Seeker in orbit, while smaller craft landed near the pyramid. Elena watched helplessly as energy beams disabled their research vessel. The ship's lights flickered and died, leaving it floating dead in space. Tall figures emerged from the landed ships. They were humanoid but clearly alien. Their skin was pale white, almost translucent. Their eyes were large and dark, completely black without any visible iris. They moved with fluid grace, like dancers performing a careful routine. The beings wore no protective suits, breathing the moon's thin atmosphere without difficulty. Their clothes seemed to be made of the same silver material as their ships, flowing and changing shape as they moved. Greetings, young species, their leader said. His voice was beautiful, like music, but cold and emotionless. I am Commander Nyx of the Harvester Fleet. We have been watching your kind with great interest. Elena stepped forward, placing herself between the aliens and her team. We are peaceful researchers. We mean no harm to anyone. Of course you are peaceful, Nyx replied. All promising species are peaceful in their youth. That is what makes them valuable. The other harvesters moved around them, carrying strange scanning devices. The equipment hummed softly as it examined each human. When the scanners focused on Maya, Tom, Lisa, and Jake, they glowed brighter. Excellent neural plasticity, one harvester reported. High creativity ratings. Strong problem-solving abilities. These specimens show remarkable potential. Specimens? Elena's voice rose with anger. These are people, not things you can collect. Nyx tilted his head, studying her with those empty black eyes. Your attachment to these individuals is understandable but irrelevant. We are gardeners of galactic civilization. We preserve the best of each species before they inevitably destroy themselves. We're not destroying ourselves, Maya said defiantly. Humanity is growing stronger every day. All species believe that, Nyx replied sadly. Yet in 10,000 years, we have never been wrong. Your kind shows great promise, which is why these 4 will join our archive. They will be preserved, studied, and protected. Energy fields surrounded Maya, Tom, Lisa, and Jake before they could resist. The fields lifted them off the ground, carrying them toward the harvester ships despite their struggles. No, Elena screamed. Trying to reach her daughter. Take me instead. Leave them alone. Your time of contribution has passed, Nyx explained. Only the young have the flexibility we require. Do not mourn. They will be well cared for in the archive. Their potential will not be wasted. Elena watched in helpless rage as the harvesters loaded her daughter and the 3 young researchers into their ship. Maya's eyes met hers through the energy field, full of fear but also determination. The harvester ships rose silently into space, leaving Elena and the remaining crew stranded on the dead moon with their disabled vessel. As the silver ships disappeared into hyperspace, Elena made a promise to herself and to her daughter. Humanity would find them. And when they did, the harvesters would learn that some species were more dangerous than they appeared. The emergency transmission from Dr. Elena Voss reached Earth's Solar Defense Command at 0347 hours. Admiral Marcus Kane was awakened by the urgent beeping of his secure communicator. He listened to the message 3 times before. Its full meaning sank in. Aliens had taken human children. Kane's hands shook as he activated Protocol Omega. In 30 years of military service, he had hoped never to use these codes. The protocol was humanity's darkest secret, created for the worst possible scenario. Someone had crossed the line that should never be crossed. Within minutes, alerts went out across human space. Hidden installations that appeared to be research stations received activation codes. Peaceful cargo ships traveling through alien systems got new orders. Trade representatives embedded in foreign governments opened sealed packages they had carried for years. The message was simple. They had taken our young. There would be consequences. Maya opened her eyes in a white room that seemed to glow with its own light. Her head felt heavy and confused. The last thing she remembered was the energy field pulling her toward the harvester ship. Now she lay on a soft surface that adjusted to her body temperature. "You are awake," a calm voice said. Maya turned to see Tom sitting nearby. His face was pale but determined. "Lisa and Jake woke up an hour ago. They're exploring the area." Maya sat up slowly. The room had no visible doors or windows, but somehow she could breathe normally. The walls curved smoothly into the ceiling, making it impossible to tell where one surface ended and another began. "Where are we?" she asked. "They call it the archive." Tom replied, "We're on a massive space station. The harvesters have been collecting people for thousands of years." As if responding to their conversation, a section of the wall became transparent. Outside, Maya could see an enormous chamber filled with rows upon rows of glowing pods. Each pod contained a sleeping figure from a different alien species. "How?" "Many," Maya whispered. "Thousands," Tom said grimly. "Maybe tens of thousands. Each one represents someone's child who was taken from their family." Lisa and Jake returned through an opening that appeared in the wall. Lisa's face was streaked with tears, but her eyes burned with anger. "We've been talking to some of the others," Lisa said. "During feeding time, they let us move around and interact. Most species accept their fate after a while. They believe the harvesters are protecting them. But not all," Jake added. "Some of the newer arrivals are still fighting. There's a group planning something, but they won't tell us what." A harvester entered through the wall, its pale form moving like liquid silver. This one was smaller than Commander Nick's, with softer features that might have been meant to appear friendly. "You are adjusting well," the being said in that musical voice. "I am Caretaker Vel. I will help you understand your new purpose." "Our purpose is to go home," Maya said firmly. Vel tilted its head. "Home is a temporary concept. Your species will eventually destroy itself, as all species do. Here, your potential will be preserved forever. You will contribute to the great work of maintaining galactic knowledge." "What great work?" Tom demanded. "We study each species we preserve," Vel explained. "We learn from their unique perspectives and abilities. This knowledge helps us guide younger civilizations and prevent galactic disasters." Maya felt sick. "You're keeping us like animals in a zoo." "We are gardeners," Vel corrected. "And you are the most beautiful flowers in the galaxy's garden." After Vel left, the 4 humans huddled together. Maya's mind was racing. The harvesters were powerful, but they seemed to lack something important. They didn't understand the bond between humans and their families. "They think we'll accept this," Maya said quietly. "They expect us to give up like the others did." "Some species might," Jake replied, "but they don't know humans very well." Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Kane stood before the United Nations Emergency Council. The room was filled with representatives from every human nation and colony. Their faces showed the same mixture of shock and rage that Kane felt. "The situation is clear," Kane announced. An alien species calling themselves harvesters has taken 4 of our children. They believe humans will accept this loss and move on with our lives. Murmurs of anger filled the chamber. President Chun of the Pacific Alliance spoke first. What are our options, Admiral? Kane activated a holographic display showing human space. Red dots appeared throughout the galaxy, marking hidden installations and sleeper agents. For the past century, we have prepared for existential threats, Kane explained. We have weapons and technologies that violate galactic treaties. We have agents embedded in alien governments. We have been ready for war since the day we left. Earth, war against whom? Asked Director Lopez of the European Union. We don't even know where these harvesters are located. We will find them, Kane said with cold certainty. And when we do, we will show the galaxy what happens when someone takes our children. Back on the archive station, Maya had discovered something important. During their daily exercise period, she noticed that the harvesters monitored them through subtle sensors built into the walls. But there were blind spots, areas where the ancient technology couldn't reach. The station is old, she explained to the others, older than the harvesters themselves. They're using technology they didn't build, which means they don't completely understand it. Jake's eyes lit up. If we can access the original systems, we might be able to send a message. Or do more than that, Maya added. I've been watching the caretakers. They're not soldiers. They're scientists who have never faced real resistance. Over the following days, the 4 humans began making contact with other prisoners. They found a Vorthan engineer named Beck, who had been imprisoned for 3 years. Beck's people were known for their advanced computer skills. The archive network connects all harvester stations, Beck explained in broken galactic standard. If someone could access the central database, they could send information anywhere in the galaxy. Can it be done? Lisa asked. Beck's tentacles writhed with what might have been excitement. Possible, yes. But dangerous. If harvesters discover intrusion, punishment is severe. Maya made her decision. We have to try. Our people need to know where we are. The plan began to take shape. During their daily periods of freedom, they would map the station's old systems. Beck would help them understand the computer networks. Other prisoners would serve as lookouts and distractions, but Maya had a bigger goal than just sending a message. She had been studying the archive's operation, and she had noticed something the harvesters might not realize. Their entire civilization depended on these stations. If something happened to the archive network, it would cripple their whole society. Commander Nick stood in the archive's central control room, reviewing reports from across harvester space. The humans had been in custody for 2 weeks, and they were adapting well. Better than most species, actually. Perhaps too well. Sir, one of his subordinates reported, we're detecting unusual activity in the old system networks. It may be routine maintenance, but the patterns are strange. Nix frowned. The archive's ancient systems sometimes acted unpredictably, but they had been stable for centuries. Monitor the situation. Report any significant changes. What Nix didn't know was that Maya and her team had successfully accessed the archive's database. They were not just sending a message to Earth. They were uploading something much more. Dangerous. Jake had created a virus designed to look like routine system maintenance. Once it spread through the archive network, it would lay dormant until activated. Then it would cause cascade failures throughout every connected station. Are you sure about this? Tom asked as Jake prepared to upload the virus. Maya nodded grimly. They took us thinking humans would accept our fate. They're about to learn how wrong they were. As the virus began its silent journey through the archive network, Maya sent one final message toward Earth. It contained their location, the layout of the station, and detailed information about harvester technology and weaknesses. But most importantly, it contained a promise. The children of Earth were coming home, and nothing in the galaxy would stop them. The first harvester ship died above the mining colony of New Geneva. What appeared to be a simple cargo hauler suddenly revealed hidden weapons bays and fired quantum torpedoes that tore through the alien vessel's shields like paper. The harvester crew barely had time to send a distress signal before their ship became burning debris. Captain Ross watched the wreckage scatter through space from his command chair. His ship, the Fortune's Dream, had spent 3 years pretending to be a peaceful merchant vessel. Now its true purpose was revealed. Hidden weapon systems, military-grade engines, and armor plating that could withstand planet-killer weapons. Target destroyed, his weapons officer reported. No survivors detected. Good, Ross replied coldly. Mark this location and move to the next target. We have 16 more harvester ships to find in this sector. Across human space, similar scenes played out. Cargo ships revealed themselves as warships. Mining stations deployed hidden defense platforms. Agricultural colonies began producing military equipment instead of food. The galaxy watched in shock as humanity's true nature emerged. Admiral Kane stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching reports flow in from across the galaxy. Red dots marked confirmed harvester locations. Blue dots showed human strike. Teams moving to intercept. Green dots indicated neutral stations that had agreed to provide information about harvester activities. Status report, Kane ordered. 18 harvester vessels destroyed in the past 6 hours, his aide replied. No human casualties reported. Enemy technology is advanced, but their ships appear designed for capture operations, not combat, Kane nodded. The harvesters had probably never faced serious military resistance. They were used to dealing with primitive civilizations that couldn't fight back effectively. What about the neutral stations? Kane asked. Most are cooperating, the aide said. The few that refuse are being marked for secondary action. Kane's expression hardened. Any station that protected the harvesters would share their fate. He had made that clear in his broadcast to the galactic community. On the archive station, Maya received confirmation that her message had reached Earth. The response came through the same network she had used to upload her virus. It was short but filled with meaning. Help is coming. Stay strong. Love, Dad. Maya's father had died when she was 12, but she understood the message. Admiral Kane was acting as a father figure to all human children. The military was coming for them. They got our message, Maya told the others. Earth knows where we are. Tom looked worried. That's good, but I'm concerned about the harvesters' reaction. They're starting to notice unusual activity in their networks. Jake had been monitoring the archive's communication systems. There are reports coming in from across harvester space. They're losing ships everywhere. Humans are hunting them down systematically. Lisa translated intercepted harvester communications. They're confused and frightened. They keep saying humans are behaving unlike any species they've encountered before. The virus Maya's team had uploaded was spreading through the archive network faster than expected. Each infected station passed the code to every other station it communicated with. The virus remained hidden, waiting for its activation signal. Commander. Nix paced the archive's control room, studying reports from across harvester territory. In one day, they had lost more ships than in the previous century combined. The humans were not mourning their losses and moving on as expected. They were fighting back with terrifying efficiency. How is this possible? Nix demanded. Our intelligence indicated humans were a peaceful species focused on exploration and trade. Apparently our intelligence was incomplete, his second-in-command replied. These ships and weapons had to take years to build. They were preparing for war long before we made contact. Nix studied the tactical displays. Human forces were not just attacking randomly. They were targeting harvester infrastructure with precision that suggested detailed knowledge of their operations. Send a message to all archive stations, Nix ordered. Increase security protocols. If the humans locate our primary facilities, they might attempt rescue operations. What Nix didn't realize was that Maya's virus had already given humans the locations of every archive station in harvester space. The attack on asteroid base Sigma 7 showed the galaxy how far humans were willing to go. The base was built inside a large asteroid and housed several hundred harvester researchers. It also contained captured members of 12 different species. Human forces surrounded the asteroid with their ships and sent a simple message: return the prisoners unharmed, and you will be allowed to evacuate. Refuse and the base will be destroyed with everyone inside. The harvester commander refused, believing the humans would not risk killing innocent prisoners. He was wrong. The human fleet used focused particle beams to slice the asteroid into precise sections. They carved away the harvester portions while leaving the prisoner areas intact. When they finished, the harvester sections were floating debris, but the captured beings were safely recovered. The operation sent a clear message across the galaxy. Humans possessed technology and tactical skills that surpassed anything the galactic community had imagined. President Chun addressed the United Nations Emergency Council as reports continued flowing in. The galactic community is demanding we stop our military operations, she announced. They claim we're violating dozens of treaties and threatening galactic peace. Admiral Kane stepped forward. With respect, Madam President, galactic peace was broken the moment they took our children. Every treaty they mention contains clauses about the protection of non-combatants and young civilians. Several neutral species are threatening to join the harvesters against us, Director Lopez warned. Kane's voice turned ice cold. Any species that aids the harvesters will be treated as hostile. We have made this clear in our diplomatic communications. The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. Humanity was willing to fight the entire galaxy, if necessary, to recover their children. On the archive station, caretaker Vel approached Maya's cell with obvious nervousness. The normally calm being seemed shaken by recent events. Your species' response is unprecedented, Vel said. We must discuss terms for ending this conflict. Maya looked up from the computer terminal she had been secretly accessing. The terms are simple. Release everyone you've taken from every species, shut down the archive network, and surrender for trial. Vel's pale features showed confusion. That is impossible. The archive represents thousands of years of work. We cannot simply abandon our purpose. Then the conflict continues, Maya replied calmly. My people don't negotiate when it comes to protecting children. Jake had been monitoring human fleet movements through the hacked network. Maya, you need to see this, he called urgently. They're not just rescuing people. They're destroying every harvester installation they find. Maya accessed the communication feeds and watched in amazement. Human forces were systematically dismantling the harvester civilization piece by piece. Mining operations, research stations, manufacturing centers, even civilian settlements were being evacuated and then demolished. They're not just fighting a war, Lisa observed. They're eliminating the harvesters as a galactic power. Tom checked the tactical displays. At this rate, harvester civilization will collapse within weeks. But Maya, some of those bases they're destroying contain archive stations with prisoners. Maya felt a chill of fear. In their determination to rescue their children, humans might accidentally harm the very people they were trying to save. She had to do something before the situation spiraled completely out of control. Commander Nix received the final report with growing desperation. 30% of harvester infrastructure had been destroyed or captured. Their fleet was scattered and demoralized. Several archive stations had gone silent, their fates unknown. We must negotiate, his second-in-command urged. The humans are more dangerous than any species we have encountered. Nick stared at the strategic display, showing human forces advancing on multiple fronts. For the first time in millennia, the harvesters faced possible extinction. "Prepare a diplomatic message," he ordered reluctantly. "Perhaps we can reason with them." But deep down, Nick suspected it was already too late for reasoning. The humans had awakened, and they would not stop until every last child was safely home. Maya's transmission reached Admiral Kane at exactly 1347 hours, ship time. The data package contained precise coordinates for 17 archive stations scattered across harvester space. More importantly, it included detailed schematics of their defenses and internal layouts. Kane studied the information with grim satisfaction. The children had done more than survive their captivity. They had given humanity the keys to destroying the entire harvester civilization. "Prepare the experimental jump drives," Kane ordered his fleet commanders. "We're going to hit all 17 stations simultaneously." Captain Morrison of the dreadnought Earth's Vengeance reviewed the mission parameters with growing concern. "Sir, the quantum drives have only been tested twice. The power requirements could tear holes in space-time itself." "Acceptable risk," Kane replied coldly. "Every minute we delay means more children suffer in those prison stations." The technology they were about to use violated the fundamental laws of physics as the galaxy understood them. Human scientists had developed it by reverse engineering. Artifacts found in ancient ruins, then improving the designs with human innovation. The weapons could disintegrate matter at the molecular level. The drives could fold space in ways that damaged reality itself. Maya felt the archive station shudder as Jake activated their virus. Throughout the Harvester network, systems began failing in cascade patterns. Emergency lights flickered in the corridors as the ancient technology struggled to maintain basic functions. "Now," Maya whispered to Tom. "While their security systems are distracted, they had been planning this moment for weeks. As the virus spread through the station's networks, it would automatically begin opening the stasis pods containing thousands of prisoners." Maya's team had modified the release sequence to prevent panic, but they still needed to coordinate the mass evacuation. Lisa ran through the corridors, spreading word to the awakening prisoners in a dozen different languages. "Stay calm. Help is coming. Follow the blue lights to the emergency stations." Meanwhile, Jake worked frantically at the central console, using his access to override Harvester security protocols. "I've got control of the internal defense systems," he reported. "When the human fleet arrives, I can shut down the station's weapons." The first human ships materialized around Archive Station Prime in bursts of twisted space. The experimental jump drives left trails of energy that made the stars flicker and dance. Captain Ross's task force consisted of 12 ships, each one equipped with weapons that could crack planets. "Harvester defenses are activating," his tactical officer reported. "They're targeting our lead ships with particle cannons." "Begin the assault," Ross ordered. "Remember, we have people inside that station. Precision strikes only." The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed. Human ships moved in coordinated patterns, their weapons firing in sequence to overwhelm specific sections of the archive shields. When the Harvesters tried to respond, they found their targeting systems disrupted by Jake's virus. Commander Nix watched helplessly as his defenses crumbled. The humans were not just attacking randomly. They knew exactly where to strike to disable his weapons while avoiding damage to the prisoner sections. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They have detailed knowledge of our systems." "Sir," one of his technicians reported with panic in his voice, "the prisoners are escaping. Someone has taken control of our internal security." Inside the station, Maya led a group of freed prisoners toward the docking bays. The corridors were filled with beings from dozens of species, all moving together toward freedom. A young Altarian helped carry an elderly Centauran. A group of vegan children stayed close to a motherly Rigelian who had protected them during their imprisonment. This way, Maya called, following the route she had memorized during weeks of careful observation. The human ships are breaking through the outer defenses, but their escape was not going unnoticed. Harvester guards began appearing in the corridors, carrying energy weapons and trying to restore order. Most of the guards were confused by the chaos, unsure whether to prioritize protecting their technology or recapturing the prisoners. Tom tackled a harvester guard, who was threatening a group of young Andromedan refugees. The alien's weapon discharged wildly, burning a hole in the corridor wall. "Maya, we need to move faster," he shouted. "More guards are coming." The battle outside intensified as human forces breached the archive's main defenses. The station's hull cracked under concentrated fire from quantum torpedoes. Sections of the structure began venting atmosphere into space, forcing emergency bulkheads to seal automatically. Captain Ross coordinated the assault from his command deck. "Boarding parties, you are clear to proceed. Remember, we have friendlies. Inside, watch your fire." Human soldiers in powered armor stormed through the breaches, carrying weapons that could disintegrate harvester defenses. But the cost was enormous. Several human ships had been destroyed by the archive's automated defenses. Hundreds of soldiers had died in the initial assault waves. "Casualty report," Ross requested grimly. 43 dead, 112 wounded, his aide replied. "The harvesters are fighting harder than expected," Ross nodded. He had known the price would be high, but every human soldier understood what they were fighting for. No cost was too great to bring their children home. Inside the station, Maya reached the main docking bay just as human soldiers burst through the airlock. The lead soldier removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face and determined eyes. "Colonel Davis, Earth Defense Force," he announced. "Are you Maya Voss?" "Yes," Maya replied. "These are the other prisoners. We need to evacuate them immediately." Davis looked around at the hundreds of freed beings crowding the docking bay. "We have transport ships standing by, but we need to move fast. This station is coming apart." As if to emphasize his point, another explosion shook the structure. Through the bay's viewports, Maya could see human ships continuing their assault on the archive's core systems. Jake arrived with the last group of evacuees, supporting an injured harvester researcher who had helped prisoners during their captivity. "The virus has spread to the other archive stations," he reported breathlessly. "They're all experiencing system failures." Commander Nix made his final desperate decision. If he could not save his civilization, he would at least deny the humans their victory. He activated the archive's self-destruct sequence, hoping to destroy the prisoners and the human forces together. "Sir, what are you doing?" his second-in-command asked in horror. "If we cannot preserve them, then no one can," Nix replied coldly. "Perhaps their deaths will teach the galaxy what happens when someone threatens the natural order." Maya felt the station's vibrations change as the self-destruct countdown began. Red warning lights flashed throughout the corridors as automated voices announced the imminent destruction in multiple languages. "We have 3 minutes," Colonel Davis announced. "Everyone into the transport ships, now." The evacuation became a race against time. Human soldiers helped carry wounded prisoners while others held defensive positions against harvester guards trying to prevent their escape. The ancient archive station groaned and shuddered as its power systems overloaded. Tom stayed behind to help Jake download critical data from the archive's central computer. "If we can get this information to Earth, other species will know where their missing people are being held," Jake explained as he worked. 30 seconds, Maya called. "We have to leave now." Jake grabbed the data storage device and ran for the transport ship. As the airlock sealed behind them, the archive station erupted in a massive explosion that could be seen from 3 star systems away. But Maya and her companions were safe, along with over 2,000 other prisoners from dozens of species. The first archive had fallen, But the human fleet was already moving toward the next target. The price of recovering their children was written in blood and fire across the galaxy. The rescue was complete, but the cost was written across 17 star systems in twisted space and burning debris. Maya stood on the observation deck of the hospital ship Mercy, watching the last archive station collapse into quantum fire. Tom lay in the medical bay below, his injury severe but not fatal. Jake and Lisa worked with counselors, helping traumatized prisoners from dozens of species adjust to their freedom, but not everyone had survived. The young pilot Tom from their original team had died during the final assault, killed by debris when a harvester ship exploded near his transport. Maya felt the weight of his loss, knowing that his sacrifice had saved hundreds of others. "The war is over," Dr. Alina Voss said quietly, joining her daughter at the viewport. She had arrived with the rescue fleet, her face showing the weeks of worry and fear she had endured. "Is it?" Maya replied. "We destroyed their civilization, but the damage goes beyond that. Look at what we did to space itself." Around them, reality showed scars from the human weapons. Stars flickered strangely where quantum torpedoes had damaged the fabric of spacetime. Several systems would remain uninhabitable for centuries, their physics too unstable to support life. Admiral Kane arrived at the Galactic Council 3 days later. The ancient chamber on the neutral world of Concordia had witnessed many historic moments, but never anything like this. Representatives from 200 species filled the curved seats, their faces showing mixtures of fear, anger, and awe. Kane walked to the central podium without ceremony. His uniform was simple, without decorations or symbols of rank. But everyone present knew he commanded the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. "Honored representatives," Kane began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. "I come before you not as a conqueror, but as a protector. Recent events have demonstrated that humanity will go to any length to defend our children, and the children of other species." The Altarian ambassador stood first. "Admiral Kane, your forces have violated dozens of galactic treaties. You have destroyed entire star systems and killed millions of beings. How do you justify these actions?" Kane's expression remained calm. "The harvesters took our children. They had been taking children from every species in this chamber for thousands of years. We did what any responsible parent would do. We brought them home. By committing genocide?" the Centauran representative demanded. "By ending a threat," Kane corrected. The archive network contained evidence of over 1 million individuals taken from their families across galactic history. How many of your own children disappeared over the centuries? How many did you assume were lost to accidents or pirates? Uncomfortable silence fell over the chamber. Many species had indeed lost young members under mysterious circumstances. The official explanations had always seemed insufficient, but no one had imagined the truth. The vegan ambassador, her blue skin pale with emotion, spoke carefully. "Our gratitude for freeing the prisoners is genuine, Admiral. But your methods have destabilized entire regions of space. Several species are demanding reparations." Kane nodded slowly. "Understood. Humanity accepts responsibility for the collateral damage caused by our weapons. We will provide assistance to relocate populations from affected systems and help repair what can be repaired." "And what guarantee do we have," asked the Rigelian delegate, "that humanity will not use these weapons against other species in the future?" Kane's answer sent a chill through the chamber. "You have the guarantee that humanity will use these weapons against any species that threatens children under our protection. We have made this policy clear in our diplomatic communications." Maya worked in the Refugee Processing Center on Luna Base, helping freed prisoners reconnect with their home civilizations. Many had been captive for so long that their families had given up hope. Others discovered that their entire species had evolved or changed during their imprisonment. An elderly Andromedan named Kess approached her desk. He had been taken as a child over 60 years ago and now faced the reality that everyone he had known was dead. What do I do now? Kes asked, his tentacles wrapping nervously around each other. My world has moved on without me. I have no place there anymore. Maya had heard similar stories hundreds of times in recent weeks. You have options, she said gently. Many of the freed prisoners are forming communities together. You have shared experiences that can help each other heal. Or if you prefer, humanity offers citizenship and resettlement assistance. Why would humans help us? Kes wondered. We are not your people. Because protecting children and helping families reunite is what we do, Maya replied. It's who we are. Jake had become humanity's unofficial ambassador to the freed prisoners. His experience with the archive computer systems made him valuable in tracking down families and homeworlds. But the work was emotionally exhausting. We've identified the origins of 80% of the prisoners, he reported to Maya. But many of their civilizations no longer exist. Some species went extinct while their children were in captivity. Maya felt the weight of that tragedy. Entire cultures had died while their youngest members slept in harvester pods, preserved but unable to continue their species development. What about the harvesters themselves? Maya asked. How many survived? Maybe a few hundred, Jake replied. Most are in human custody. The galactic community wants them tried for crimes against all civilizations. Commander Nix sat in a detention cell on Earth, studying reports about the aftermath of the war. Human scientists examined him daily, trying to understand how his species had justified their actions for so long. You preserve nothing but your fury, he had told his interrogators. The words had become famous across the galaxy, a chilling summary of humanity's response to the crisis. Dr. Sarah Park, the lead xenopsychologist studying the captured harvesters, sat across from Nix during their daily session. Help me understand. Your perspective, Commander. Your species genuinely believed you were helping the prisoners. We were gardeners, Nix replied with the same calm tone he had always used. We preserved the best of each species before they inevitably destroyed themselves. We prevented waste. But you also prevented growth, Dr. Park pointed out. Those individuals could have had families, created art, developed new technologies. You stole their potential futures. Nix tilted his head. All species destroy themselves. Eventually, we saved what we could. Not all species, Dr. Park said quietly. Humanity has survived for thousands of years and continues to grow stronger. Your assumption was wrong. For the first time, Nix showed uncertainty. Perhaps, but your response proves our point. You have become destroyers, just as we predicted. Admiral Kane returned to Earth to find a changed world. The war had revealed humanity's hidden capabilities to their own people, as well as to the galaxy. Citizens demanded explanations about the secret weapons and military preparations. We prepared for the worst, Kane explained to the Global Assembly. Every civilization faces moments when its survival depends on strength. We chose to be ready. At what cost? Asked Senator Williams. We spent resources on weapons instead of exploration and development. The cost of being prepared was high, Kane acknowledged. But the cost of being unprepared would have been our children's freedom. Maya stood before the reformed Galactic Council 6 months after the war's end. She had been chosen to represent all freed prisoners in establishing new protocols for protecting developing species. The archive contained evidence of systematic kidnapping across thousands of years, she testified. Millions of individuals were taken from their families and cultures. This cannot be allowed to happen again. The new accords established humanity as the galaxy's official protector of children and developing civilizations. Any species that showed signs of harvesting or exploiting young members of other cultures would face immediate intervention. Some call this human imperialism, The Altarian ambassador observed during the signing ceremony. Kane stood at Maya's side, his expression stern. "Call it whatever you like. But understand this, never again will children be taken from there. Families without consequences. The galaxy has a new law now, written in the ashes of the Harvester civilization." Maya looked out at the assembly of galactic representatives. Fear and respect mixed in their faces as they contemplated humanity's new role. The peaceful species who had once welcomed human traders now understood they shared space with beings capable of weaponizing reality itself. But Maya also saw hope. The thousands of freed prisoners were rebuilding their lives. New protocols protected vulnerable species from exploitation. The galaxy had learned that some lines should never be crossed. The price of that lesson would be remembered for generations to come. And somewhere in human space, scout ships patrolled the edges of known civilization, watching for any new threats to the species under their protection. The children of the galaxy were safe, and everyone knew the cost of threatening them.